Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California. We know you missed us yesterday, but don't worry, we're back to heal what ails you.
Also here is Jon Schnepp.
We're talking about crap, son. We're going to Vegas. We're taking things down. We're going to make some money and lose it all. I don't know.
Also here is Ken Napzok.
I didn't get to go to Vegas this weekend. I hung out at my local 7-Eleven. It was fun. I had some hot chocolate. The guys know me there. I had a banana.
Also here is Mark Ellis.
No 7-Eleven or Vegas for me. I was in St. Louis. Thanks to all the Collider fans that came out to see me, including Zach and Jessica, super fans, who brought me a stuffed baby carrot, which they presented to me upon my arrival on stage. I didn't make it awkward.
Oh, that's
Look at that.
really cute.
Look at that. Yeah, it even squeaks.
Mark, what does that mean? What does the baby carrot mean?
It means I get to chew on it as I fall asleep in my corner.
All right, guys. Well, as happens sometimes, a little something dropped after we had all the show notes done here, so something pretty cool, too. So what's going on, Ashley?
Principal photography on the untitled Star Wars Han Solo spin-off began yesterday, and to mark the occasion, Lucasfilm has unveiled a full cast photo. The Lego Movie 21 and 22 Jump Street and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs filmmakers Phil Lord and Chris Miller are directing the Star Wars story, which aims to explore the early adventures of the iconic scoundrel Han Solo and his co-pilot Wookiee Chewbacca. Along for the ride are Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, along with Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Tandy Newton, and Fleabag creator/star Phoebe Waller-Bridge, filling out the ensemble.
This, I guess, this is great. I mean, normally when you get pictures like this, okay, they're on set and everything, but the fact that they crowded them all in there into the pit of the Millennium Falcon, which is just awesome. And look, I've always been very pro Aaron Ehrenreich. I have always thought, hey, you know what? After I saw him in a bad movie, when actors stand out in bad movies like Hail Caesar, that tells you something pretty special. I was always for him, but I'm like, and the fact that he doesn't look anything like Harrison Ford is fine. Well, Christian and I are sitting together out there earlier, and we looked at this picture, and I said, you know what? This picture, for the first time ever, I actually see a little young Harrison Ford in there, which I thought was cool. Having Chewbacca be in the picture was also great. I love that. And, hey, look at Childish Gambino, man. I mean, he's looking like Lando there. He's getting the suaveness going in his face and everything. And Woody Harrelson just looks like he's happy to get a free lunch, which is great. But it looks like they're having fun. And the fact that they did in the cockpit. And did you notice, too, when you really look at it, that is the cleanest, newest that this cockpit's ever looked like. And that only makes sense it would do that. So, look, for a first little production picture put out there, I think this is awesome. What do you think about it?
I'll be there for you. That's what this looks like. It looks like the end of a sitcom where they all pile in together like Charles in charge of our days. And then you actually look at the picture and it's like, damn, that's really cool. They all got together and they're smiling. I haven't seen people smile in a picture this much since Jeremy Jahns and Jon Campea went to Las Vegas. It's that good. I love what I'm seeing right now, John. And as much as I like the way that our young Han Solo looks, Donald Glover is Lando, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Just looking at that picture, he's got that confident stare of Billy D. Williams. I don't know how he did it, but he managed to pull it off. And you're right, it's a cleaner Millennium Falcon than we're used to, and you can tell because Chewie has not yet put the dice in the mirror.
What did you think about this, Ken?
I like this white shot because it looks like I'm in a Star War. Hey, yeah, it's good. It's exciting. Yeah, you're right. Aaron Reich he has that image. I'm looking at the picture on my computer, too, here. I guess Tandy Newton was out that day for school, but I'm sure she'll be at it. The funniest thing about it is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, what's her name? Just a couple days ago was denying that she had anything to do with Star Wars. She was like, oh, that's just rumors. Well, you're sitting there. Yeah, and Woody's like, where's the edible? It looks fun. I'm excited.
What do you think,
What more
Shep?
can I say other than the picture makes me really excited? Like, when they first said they were going to do a Han Solo movie, it's like, really? Are we going to go back in time and this and that? And then, we saw Rogue One, and it was like, wow, there really is a really fun way of going back into the original Star Wars universe. You don't have to just keep going forward. There's so much. Of course, I want to go Knights of Old Republic, but I see this picture, and I'm like, I can't wait,
Yeah, it's really cool. It's funny, you brought up Tandy Newton in this, and for the last number of years, I always thought she was one of the worst actresses in Hollywood. I've never thought she's given a good performance in just about anything. And then Westworld came out, and while I am not a big fan of Westworld, it had a couple of very good episodes, but overall, I just didn't click for me. She's amazing in that show. Like showed me stuff in that show that I did not think she was capable of. And she showed a whole new side of herself. And then to hear that she's going to pop up in this, like I said, 3 months ago, before I binged on Westworld, I would have thought, why are they putting her in there? And now I'm like, that's pretty awesome that Newton's going to be in there because she's showing us some things that we didn't think she was capable of. All right, what's next?
According to a report from THR, Matt Reeves previously reported to be in talks to helm the new Batman film for DC Films and Warner Brothers, has broken off from negotiations. A source for THR confirms that negotiations have broken down. However, there is a possibility that talks could resume later when heads cool. The studio is hell-bent on making the movie no matter what, as the Batman franchise has proven to be DC's biggest draw in the superhero landscape of films. John, thoughts on Matt Reeves dropping out of talks for the Batman?
I mentioned this on Mailbag, but it's true now. It's almost like whenever I hear a new Warner Brothers story come out, I'm expecting to hear the Benny Hill music. But there are two sides to this coin. There are two sides. Okay, there's a negative, but there's also a positive. Let's look at the negative first because it's the most obvious. When an executive of Warner Brothers comes out and says, our first choice is Matt Reeves, okay? And then you make it public that you're going into negotiations, it basically felt like it was a done deal. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know why. Like, according to the report in the Hollywood Reporter that came from Boris Kitt, who's a really great writer, been with the Hollywood Reporter for a long time, it made it sound like it didn't just, we're having some trouble seeing eye to. No, it says like it was heated, that they needed time to let their heads cool off. Whether this was over the script or whether it was over casting or whether it was over overall story, because I mean, who knows? We have no idea what's going into that. But it sounds like they heated and did not end well, the discussions. But now let's look at the other side. There's two realities here we have to keep in mind. Reality number one is the report itself pointed out that these two sides still may get back together. Like they may step away, let their heads cool down, and they are still open to coming back and continuing talking. It is very possible that 2 weeks from now, we're talking about the official announcement that Matt Reeves has signed on to direct Batman. So that is not precluded from possibility at this point, so let's keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is this. Matt Reeves isn't the only good director in Hollywood. Look, if the Matt Reeves thing does fall apart, and I'm all for Matt Reeves directing, I said that Ben Affleck is the best guy to direct Batman, but barring that, Matt Reeves is a really good choice, but if he's not the guy, there are other big-named, experience with track records of success directors out there. Fede Alvarez is a name that comes to mind. His name's been floated. Ridley Scott is a name who's in a bit of a resurgence now with that Alien trailer, and of course what he did with The Martian, which I thought was amazing. So, number one, the Matt Reeves thing is not yet done, although it may be done. But even if it is done, there are other big-name filmmakers out there who could step in and do some justice to this project that, let's face it, is in a little bit of turmoil. But there is light at the end of the tunnel if they can get there. I don't know, Schnepp, you heard about all this. What are your thoughts on this Matt Reeves situation?
I'm so tired and bored of talking about the Batman. It's like, it's $1 billion property. It's one of the most beloved characters. Can't they figure it out and get it right? I mean, we should have seen a Batman movie a year after Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And Man of Steel came out in, what, was it 2012, or am I imagining
Like 13.
things? Was it 13?
13.
Still, now it's 5 years later. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. It's, if I was in charge of Warner Brothers, I would fire every single person who is in charge of all of the DC movies tomorrow. We're going to talk about a dude getting fired from some other studio. I'd fire all of those people because they are sucking at their job. There's one guy over at Marvel who seems to be doing all these phases and stuff they started doing in 2008, and then DC was trying to play catch up and failing miserably every single year. And this is just indicative of it. And so I'm not a DC hater. I love DC comic book characters. I go to the comic book store every week and buy different DC comics. So I'm far from that. But what I am a hater on is when you have a bunch of bumbling nincompoops in charge of these properties who keep failing upwards. They're failing forwards, and that's what I hate seeing. You see it happen
You just described our career, man, so be careful
well,
about
hey,
that.
look, a lot of people fail forward successfully, and others just suck. And I'm talking about the ones who suck. And it's very obvious. You can't figure out how to make a Flash movie. You've tried 75 directors, 185 scripts. Why don't you go back in time and stop sucking and get it right?
And, but to be fair,
That's like
Riley like that one.
That is the best thing to write in somebody's yearbook. When you sign my yearbook, why don't you go back in time and stop sucking? Have a great summer, Jon Schnepp.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, let's keep it. To be fair, let's keep this in mind too. That while they're having some struggles with the DC Cinematic Universe, Warner Brothers is killing it in a lot of other. They're putting out some amazing films. They just seem to be having a difficult time getting this stallion under control.
That's why I said fire all the people in charge of the DC. I love Warner Brothers. They're doing a great job, but this pocket universe blows, and it's got to, I don't care about the Batman anymore, and I never thought I'd say that. I don't care who's directing it. I want it to go away. I want Ben Affleck to go away. I don't care.
What do you think, Kenny?
Well, look, John, we know things we say on this show can be taken wrong. Take this with a grain of salt. I hear from a guy who drove by the WB lot on Olive to his shift at Doghouse that Batman's probably not even going to happen anymore. No, I don't know. Maybe after this, I don't know. You're right. Marvel's over there like, should we put Mighty Mouse in the Avengers?
Yeah, sure. Chuck him in there.
Chuck him in there. 400 billion in the opening weekend. It's how do you go in for a job interview? When I got hired at Collider, if I got in a fight with you in the middle of the negotiation, how are you going to hire me 2 weeks? And why would I want the job 2 weeks from now? You want me to do your movie? Here's some ideas. Why are you yelling at me?
Yeah.
Matt Reeves should move on.
Yeah.
Find another. You're right. There's so many other directors. Matt Reeves is a talented man. There's so many other people out there. Find some other person to put in there and just get this movie made. It's Batman. My mom knows who Batman is. If you can't make a Batman superhero movie work,
why all the effort? We're hiring a fourth screenwriter. What the hell is wrong with you? Read a comic book. They're already written. Just adapt that, you idiots.
Yeah. And that's what Feige said early on.
Yeah.
No, you have the source material here.
Case in point, watch that Avengers Infinity War. I'm not a Marvel-y, whatever you want to say. Just look at that video, and you see this giant tome called Infinity Gauntlet, and all these little notes all within they're actually adapting storyboards from the comic book. So I'm sorry, it is so easy to do, and I don't understand what the big problem is.
There is another light at the end of the tunnel in here too. Is that in the midst of look, there are a couple people at this table, myself included, that enjoyed Batman vs Superman, enjoyed Suicide Squad for what they were, but even amongst all the people out there who did not like the DC movies we've had so far, keep this in mind too. Even amongst people who didn't like it, will generally say, yeah, I didn't like Batman v Superman, but that Batman character, by Ben Affleck, that kind of worked. Even the most diehard people who hate the DC Cinematic Universe will go, but that Batman thing worked. They got to know that they have that going for them at this point. So it's not like they have to, while their cinematic universe as a whole needs a little bit of rehabilitation and image rehabilitation, the Batman does not. They seem to get their Batman character through that phase pretty much unscathed. So you'd think they'd be starting with 1 foot ahead. It's going to be really interesting to see how this works out. But all hope is not lost. He could still direct it, and even if he doesn't, there are other directors who do it. Maybe they should give you a call. I want a Batman movie directed by Jon Schnepp and Kevin Smith.
I would only be a fan film because I would never want to take orders from those idiots. And that's the big problem. I think that's why Ben Affleck, because he's a creative genius, when he's allowed to do what he's allowed to do. And I think people were sweating him, and we need to throw Mighty Mouse in there. We need to chuck a bunch of these. And he's like, look, this is the story I want to tell. That's why people walk away when it gets too difficult to work with other people. And that's it seems very obvious to me that, Ben Affleck had total creative control. He was going to direct and write and produce and star. And then all of a sudden we start hearing about, he doesn't want to direct it because they're waiting for the script to be right, but he's writing the script, so it made no sense. Then you hear about another person doing a massive overhaul rewrite on it. Now he doesn't want to direct it. Maybe that's because he wasn't happy with his script being taken away and someone else rewriting it, adding in all these stupid
And we're speculating
notes.
At this point.
This is all speculation, but after you read a bunch of books, learn about how ugly Hollywood works, and then you'd say, well, if all these things seem to be true, and then this seems to be happening based on all these other truths, this is probably what's happening with this property. So it's hard not to be a little bummed out about it. And, I got to say, I've been looking forward to a movie called The Batman since I was a little kid. I still want to see it happen, but at this point, I'm so tired and sick of talking about it and seeing the behind-the-scenes turmoil with these turds. I don't want to, it's embarrassing that we have to keep talking about.
Based on everything that we've heard from these reports, though, there's no way Matt Reeves should be directing this movie. Because I agree with Ken. If you get in a fight, if you get into a shouting match at the job interview,
right,
you should not be getting that job, nor should you want that job. It seems like Warner Brothers they're looking for the most famous person available to direct their movie right now. They're going after a big name. Matt Reeves is a big name. and justly so. He's a great director. I don't think this is the way to go because clearly they have a vision where they want to take the Batman movie, and most directors come in and they get excited about directing Batman because they want to put their spin on it. And apparently DC and Warner Brothers does not want any sort of spin put on their Batman at all. So at this point, I'd rather have Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich come in there and just blow the whole thing up. Just make such a crappy movie that we have to reboot the universe from scratch.
You know, I just imagine the first interview, Ken comes in, sits down, I go, hey, Mr. Napzok, thanks for coming in. The first thing he says is, give me your office! It's like, okay. Yeah, that wouldn't go so well.
If they keep having bad job interviews, my advice for the next director is do what I did to get the job here. Don't have a job interview. Just show up on set. Wait for them to kick you out. Hasn't happened yet.
All right, what's next?
According to a report in the Los Angeles Times, Paramount Pictures chairman and chief executive Brad Grey is expected to exit the studio after years of struggles for their movie slate at the box office. The studio chief is finalizing his exit with executives at parent company Viacom pressuring Grey to move on after a string of low-performing years. The studio head has run Paramount for 12 years, but as of late, the studio has ranked 6th or 7th out of the major distributors since 2012. The studio has suffered a string of recent flops that include Monster Trucks, Rings, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Ken, what do you think about Brad Grey stepping down from Paramount Pictures?
It is. I'm looking at the Variety story that broke just before we went on air. He is out. He's packed up his boxes, left his office, and there's a weird kind of mystery group taking over from the inside. Look, Brad Grey, Brillstring Grey, you're from the comedy world. They in the 80s, 90s were behind some of the biggest successful things. Paramount's got a great track record under Grey. But yeah, when you greenlight monster trucks, at some point someone's gonna, hey, what's going on over there? It happens. He's gonna sign off a big deal and go relax for a little bit. So I never really feel too sorry for these big CEOs. Right. But these the changing world of the big studios, you can do things wrong after a certain amount of time.
Schnepp.
Maybe he should go work for DC and be in charge of all their Warner Brothers DC comic book properties. I don't know. I mean, Brad Grey, it just seems like, he's probably like, he got tired of stuff. Like one of his friends was like, my 4-year-old son has an idea about trucks and monsters. Greenlit, you know what I mean? Like he had sole greenlight power. And so what they were trying to do last year was like, look, man, we're going to try to bring in this group of people who greenlight stuff. And he said no. So they fought over it. And that's why he's packing his bags and he's leaving. Golden parachute, probably, several $100 million and a shingle somewhere where it's like, here, make some other films if you want or don't. It's like, so I don't feel bad for him. And I don't think, like you just said it yourself, that his track record, his history will live far beyond any of these, like, couple failed films. So, that's what happens.
To use a sports analogy, like even coaches who win championships, eventually they hit a streak where just things don't go right and they lose their job and they move on to other things. It is unfortunate that one of the most celebrated studios in the history of Hollywood, Paramount, has had a couple of very, very bad years. And when you start thinking about the one constant moneymaker you have, which is the Transformers, is critically panned. I mean, a lot of people just will say those aren't very good movies, but they make tons of money, and that's the only thing that consistently makes money. Mission Impossible is under Paramount as well, so there's that, but that's one film a year between Transformers and Mission Impossible, and then the rest are these things that they have tried and just not worked. The last Star Trek inexcusably did not make that much money for a Star Trek, because that movie was damn good.
Really good.
That newest Star Trek movie was actually damn good, but it underperformed. And then they got these big string of films that have just not worked. And at some point, it's not always the leader's fault, but at some point you need to replace the leader just to change things up and to change direction and to change the culture. It's not necessarily a negative reflection on the leader, just like a basketball coach who wins tons of rings and all that kind of stuff. They hit that doesn't mean they're not a good coach anymore. It just means we need to change things up and start a new culture here. And it does feel like that's what is needed at Paramount. And you're absolutely right, Schnepp. This dude, he's going to land on his feet. He'll be perfectly fine. And he will probably see his name attached as a producer in some other hit films in the future. But it sounded like something Paramount needed to do.
It sounds like it might be the best play for all parties, man. I never call for people to get fired. I hate when somebody has their job on the line and you have a lot of talking heads everywhere saying this person should be canned, because I don't know what goes on in the inner workings of Paramount. But clearly Brad Grey was responsible at one point for helping a lot of these franchises, like John said, Transformers, Star Trek's reinvigoration, even the Paranormal Activity franchise, which is something that fell into their lap from a certain perspective. effective, but they also were able to nurture that into being a successful franchise with multiple movies that grossed a crap ton of money. But you're right, when you hit the skids like this, I think a clean slate sometimes is the best thing for everybody involved. Of course, Brad Gray's going to land on his feet, but Kenny's right. Back when it was Brillstein Gray and they were launching some really creative stuff with HBO when they did the Larry Sanders Show, they were responsible for the original impetus of Real Time with Bill Maher. They did a lot of cool things in the 80s and 90s, and that continued for Brad Gray's solo career at Paramount. I like your coach analogy, that somebody can win a lot of rings, but sometimes you just need to change the culture.
All right, what's next?
After the long holiday weekend, it's time for the box office report. The Lego Batman movie topped the weekend box office for a second week in a row. The animated spin-off movie in the Lego universe took in $42.5 million over the 4-day weekend for the #1 spot, hitting $107 million domestic in just 2 weeks' time. At number 2 was 50 Shades Darker, which pulled in $23.26 million for the long weekend, bringing its domestic total to $91.96 million. In its first weekend of release, The Great Wall took the number 3 spot with $21.65 million over the 4-day weekend, bringing its worldwide total to $266.25 million. John Wick Chapter 2 finished in the number 4 spot with $19.1 million, bringing its domestic total to $61.3 million. And rounding out the top 5 was Fist Fight. The comedy opened with $14.5 million in its first weekend of release. Mark, thoughts on the weekend box office?
Well, I'm bummed that we no longer do our top 5 box office predictions because I would have nailed it. I woke up in St. Louis early on Sunday. I rolled over to my partner and I was like, hey, I think I know what the top 5 is going to be. I checked on Box Office Mojo, and I nailed it. And the reason why is because Lego Batman movie has such replay value. I think a lot of people are seeing this movie multiple times. The same cannot be said for 50 Shades Darker. John Wick 2 is starting to creep up there, where I think 50 Shades Darker and John Wick 2 might have very similar total box office results when it's all said and done. Great Wall is just not a huge desire for a lot of people to see that movie. It felt weird seeing Matt Damon be the star of a movie that takes place in China on the Great Wall defending against weird-looking CGI lizard people. Just didn't really play. Cure for Wellness also was intriguing, but it just didn't seem to have that wide mass appeal that you would want. February is a competitive month all of a sudden for films, and the box office reflects that when even something that is a broad comedy like Fist Fight has trouble getting into the top 5.
Yeah, it's the Lego Batman, man. It's staying power. It dropped only 37% from week 1. And I'll give credit where credit's due. 50 Shades Darker dropped 56%, but that is a vast improvement over the first 50 Shades movie, which dropped like over 70% on its first weekend. So there's that. Great Wall, I'll say it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Would I recommend the movie? No. But the first half hour of that movie, I actually thought, this is really good, and then it kind of became the movie we thought it was going to be after that. But it's not a horrible movie. I don't think you're wasting your time if you want to go see it. Fist Fight, it did surprise me that it only made $12 million. Mm-hmm. I thought with the name, especially with Ice Cube, who seems to have a string of successes, I thought it would get into the 20 range. That didn't. But A Cure for Wellness, on 2,700 screens, comes in 10th place on its opening weekend, making $4.3 million, which is a failure by any definition. Right. And I think one of the main reasons is your marketing campaign, you made the movie look like a poor man's Shutter Island. It just looked like somebody's reimagining of Shutter Island, and that's what the marketing. And the movie's actually better than that. It's not great, but it's better than that, and it was just a really bad marketing campaign. Ken, what do you make about this box office report?
Well, first of all, remind me to never have you try to set me up on a date. We're like, he's not as bad as you think, but I wouldn't take him to Applebee's. All right?
He's an Arby's date.
He's an Arby's date. Yeah, you know what? I think this Lego Batman and their crew, what a great little movie at the right time, where we talk about the junk pile season. You're right, February is a little more competitive. January is even more competitive. Eventually, Batman will be released in January, but the real Batman, Lego Batman's perfect. It's good.
You mean January 2027?
Yeah, exactly. I'm also glad 50 Shades Darker is going to stick around long enough for me to sneak in the back of a theater in a trench coat to take notes. But the Great Wall numbers remind you that this business goes beyond these 50 great states. And yeah, it is a little weird. You throw Damon on a wall that maybe he shouldn't be on, but it's doing big numbers in the markets that they need it to do.
20-something million here,
Yeah.
200 220 overseas.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie was made for the international audience. Schnepp, what do you think about the report?
I would go see Damon on a Wall before I see the Great Wall. You know, I mean, it just looks like, you know, the lizards are zombies, you know, piling up. I'm sure that's what happens at the end. You're like, how many lizards are there? Endless amounts. And it doesn't matter how many we kill, there's more, right?
We have 4 left. The movie ends with 4
Schnepp,
lizards left.
I'm not going to give away any
All right,
spoilers
no
for this
spoilers.
movie.
My magical guess is like, oh, I'm so bored of the action. When you get bored in action movies, that's when it's ultimately bad. You know what? The Lego Batman movie is so incredibly fun to see.
It's great.
That's why, it should be number
The
one.
Warner
next week.
Brothers people who are in charge of Batman
Yes.
seem to know what they're doing when it's a Lego.
Yeah, the fun part, the fun, happy part of Warner Brothers DC universe must be doing something right. I don't know. The grim, gritty version where everyone's crying in the rain are effing up, but the fun, exciting, like happy-go-lucky, hey, remember Adam West's Batman? Sure I do. Well, don't shut that door yet, because we could still have some fun. They're like, you know, that's what all I could say is if you're a Batman fan, see Lego Batman. I cannot stress it enough that you're going to leave that theater with a giant smile on your face. I don't know if you'd have the same with 50 Shades Darker. I'm waiting for 50 Shades Darkest. I'm a trilogy kind of dude when it comes to like horrible, bad movies. I'll be like, maybe I'll wait till the third movie and still never see it.
All right, guys, we reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Walt Disney Pictures and director Jon Favreau announced late Friday that Donald Glover and James Earl Jones have been cast in Disney's remake of The Lion King. Glover will play Simba with James Earl Jones, reprising his legendary role as Mufasa, the beloved father character he voiced in the '94 animated original. Jeff Nathanson is writing the take on the animated classic, with Favreau looking to build upon the work he did on The Jungle Book, in which he'll be using cutting-edge technology and green screen work to bring the Lion King characters to life. Schnepp, buy or sell Donald Glover and James Earl Jones in Disney's remake of The Lion King?
I buy this 100%. I mean, part of the fun that I had in Jungle Book was watching little wolf cubs talk. And I was like, what the hell? These little creatures are so cute. And I just forgot I was watching a completely fabricated universe. These things are fake. Some weird sweaty nerd is, you know, constructing their mouth. So it says, Mom, where's Mowgli? You're like, I believed it. I believed a wolf could talk. I can't wait to see Jungle Book with all these other animals hanging out, having fun, singing songs in a weird, realistic universe that's not real.
Kenny.
I buy it. I also buy that this is Donald Glover's world and we're all living in it at this point.
Right?
I mean, he's just raking it in. And I like the idea that, you know, we got James Earl Jones. It's a little bit old, a little bit of new, and pay respect to James Earl Jones when we got it. And I'm just making noises.
Yeah, sorry, I just snuck off thing. This is my happy button.
Not the panic button.
Is not the panic button, which is different. This is the happy button.
I mean, John, you just could have reached over and used my happy button.
Hey, guys, this is a PG show.
Cover your ears, little guy. You didn't hear what Ken just said. Please, Ken, there's children.
You know there are going to be T-shirts on that now, right? Like, you know that's going to happen. Look, if you had asked me before, hey, do they have to bring back James Earl Jones to do the voice of Mufasa? I'd say, no, you don't have to do that. But you really should. I mean, this is fantastic. This is like, was it Peter Cullen who does the voice of Optimus Prime? Like, hearing that he was going to be the voice of Optimus Prime, that's just right. It would have been okay if they went and got somebody else, that's fine, but it's just right to have him come back and do this voice again. And you're right, this is going to be the year of Donald Glover, and let's see if he can make the most of it. But, you know, when you look at the Jungle Book, you know, Jungle Book has become a great example of, like, when people say, you know what ruins movies? Too much CGI. You know, Jungle Book would beg to differ. It's not a matter of whether there's too much CGI. It's whether or not CGI was used correctly and used right. Jungle Book is a situation where they did, and I know they're going to do that in The Lion King as well. So, look, will having James Earl Jones doing the voice of Mufasa make it a good movie? No, but it's going to do something good to your heart to hear Mufasa speak again, and it's the same voice. That's going to be cool, so I buy this completely.
The sound you hear 61 minutes into a Vegas Swedish massage. All right, It doesn't work anymore. We'll try again in 15 minutes, honey. In the meantime,
I swear this has never happened to me before.
I think this is great news to hear James Earl Jones. It's a shame that Jonathan Taylor Thomas couldn't clear his schedule to come back and voice Simba, but Donald Glover is a great call here. This is not an accidental announcement. They're putting it out there that we're getting some of the old, some of the new. There's nobody else that could have voiced Mufasa, in my opinion. There's even somebody as great as Jeremy Irons. I think you could see somebody else being Scar. You can see somebody else being Simba, Timon, Pumbaa. As much as I'd love to have the entire original cast back, you do have to let us know this is a new movie that they're making. Jimmy Earl Jones as Mufasa, though, yeah, that warms my heart to hear.
But you know what? I will say this. Having Colin back as the voice of Optimus Prime made me miss, I believe his name was Weller, the guy who did the voice of Megatron, the original Megatron, the anime. Like, having the original voice of Optimus Prime kind of made me miss the original voice of Megatron, where I would have been fine if you didn't have either. I think having James Earl Jones in there doing Mufasa will make me miss Jeremy Irons as Scar. I think having him as the voice of Mufasa and then having somebody else as Scar will make me miss it.
But they haven't
quite a
cast
bit.
Scar yet.
No, they have not. I mean, it could still end up being Jeremy Irons. Perhaps. I mean, that would be cool if it was, but we'll be fine too. But like, let me start with you, Ashley. You're seeing all this stuff, and now you're seeing the original Mufasa coming back. What are you thinking about Lion King?
I mean, Donald Glover, what can't this guy do? He's everywhere right now, and I've loved him since, oh my God, what was that show with the high school?
Community.
Yes, I loved him since
Community.
Community. He was hilarious on that show, so I'm really excited to see him basically everywhere right now. And Jon Favreau, I got to do a set visit on the Jungle Book, and to see that technology in action, he just seems like such a positive energy, and the Jungle Book was such a part of my childhood, so I'm really excited that he's working on this project.
And he had a small part in The Martian, but how good were those scenes that he had in The Martian? He was really great in that. Wendy, what about you?
I am loving this cast. I mean, when Jon Favreau first tweeted out the picture of Donald Glover, I was like, oh my God, yes. And then he tweeted out James Earl Jones. I was like, oh my God. So now I'm thinking I want to see Jeremy Irons back as Scar. But then I think of then what's kind of the point of remaking if they bring back the original cast? What do you guys think about that?
You know, it depends on how far they go. Because look, let's say they did bring Jeremy Irons back. Do you then bring Whoopi Goldberg back?
Yes.
Do you bring, who are the other two hyenas? I'm forgetting.
Rob Schneider.
But it was a comedian. It was a comedian
look it up.
that was one of the voices. But I can't remember his name right now. But I don't know. To me, it's going to be seeing it in a new light. So I think you can do Mufasa, and I think you can do Scar, and obviously they've got a new Simba, so that's fine too. And then you can change up the other guys too. You want to bring some of the key voices back, but not too many. But what do you guys think?
I don't need anybody else. I don't need anybody else coming back. And I love The Lion King. It's probably my favorite Disney movie, one of my favorite films of all time. You needed James Earl Jones back to give us that anchor because nobody else can be Mufasa. I think everybody else should be a new cast because, like Wendy said, we're making a new movie here, guys. There's going to be some original stuff that we're going to put in Lion King that you haven't seen before. You need to let everybody know this is separating itself from the original. Have a new cast.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you dance on that razor's edge of nostalgia. I think you should have James Earl Jones. If you start Jeremy Irons, maybe, but then where does it stop?
It's true.
Where does it go? And then you're just kind of remaking a movie in a great, fantastic way, and it would still probably be good. But I think you run that risk of going too far.
I would say split the difference. They went and dipped back into the pool by getting James Earl Jones. They should double dip and get Jeremy Irons because it is going to be it's a total dip. I know.
Happy button.
Hang on a second. Hit that button. Double dip, son. Anyway. The show has just gone into the perverse zone. Trying to say something here.
Hey, this show may have some rough times, so it's going to have a happy ending.
Oh, God. Anyway, I think it's a totally different interpretation. That's all I have to say. It's not animated the old school way. It's animated the new school way. So having those two actors come back on to give that kind of everything old is new again version, I don't mind it. So.
Pop quiz. What's the next line? Will my teeth and ambitions are bared?
Oh, no.
Be prepared. Okay, anyway. All right.
Sorry. We just failed Schmodown.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
All right, what's next?
According to a report from The Wrap, David F. Sandberg is in talks to direct Shazam for New Line and DC Films. The Swedish filmmaker hit the scene in a big way with his 2016 debut Lights Out, which was based on his 2013 acclaimed horror short of the same name. A sequel to the film is also in the works at New Line. Sandberg's next project will be Annabelle 2, the sequel to the 2014 Conjuring spinoff Annabelle. John Byersall, David F. Sandberg directing Shazam.
I'm going to buy this, and here's why. Now, I've read read a lot of people saying online, it's like, this guy has no experience making big budget films and all that kind of stuff. You know who else had no experience making big budget films? James Gunn. And I remember when we had him and Kevin Feige in studio, and I asked Kevin Feige specifically, I asked Feige, like, hey, you got a guy like James Gunn, and James was sitting right there. Like, he's never done anything big. He had done a number of movies, a number of really good movies, nothing big. And Kevin Feige said the best things. He goes, a good storyteller is a good storyteller. You give a good storyteller a little budget, he'll make a great movie with a little budget. You give a good storyteller a big budget, he'll make a great movie with a big budget. And that proved out to be the case. Now, I would be a little bit nervous about Sandberg because the only thing he's done was Lights Out, which was a very small film based on his own little short film. But he's also doing Annabelle 2. So by the time he gets to Shazam, we're going to have a guy who's a little bit more seasoned. To me, what he did with Lights Out, with taking a simple premise and then using great characters, with using his environment and the mood and the atmosphere, told a compelling and fun story that I was right into from the beginning of the film to the end. If he can bring those skills to a Shazam, it doesn't matter if it's a $200 million film versus a $2 million film. If he can tell a good story, he can tell a good story. And for that, I'm going to give this a buy. What about you, Schnepp?
Total big buy for me. I was in the theater with you and Wendy when we saw Lights Out.
Wendy was our little small sandwich in the middle between two of us.
And we were screaming at don't go down in the basement. Like, it was one of those, like, come on, like, just super tense. Yeah, it might have cost $15, but it was an incredible movie, and you would never knew that it was a low-budget film. It's like one of those horror films that all takes place in one house, and then they get in a car and go back to that same house. It's like they never really went too many places. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Lights Out, other than that guy did a great job adapting his short film into a full feature-length film, so much so that James Wan gave him Annabelle 2, saying, look, you're going to do this sequel that the first film didn't hit it, you're going to hit it with the second film. Him doing Shazam, I think it's obvious, just like Derek went from Sinister to Doctor Strange. We've got the same type of situation here where they're like, look, he's got the chops to do it. He probably did some kind of presentation to show that, hey, I know what I'm doing with Shazam. He's probably a sweaty, like a hidden sweaty. You don't know. He's like, well, I did these horror films, but I actually have comics. It's like, I'm 100% into this. I buy it.
Do you remember, like you and Wendy both, do you remember when we came out of seeing that movie, they had like this virtual reality chamber?
Box.
Yeah.
This big box that you go to and it's like sensory deprivation. They did something in it. And we walked out of the theater and there was a lineup to get into it. And all we could hear is the people inside screaming. Yeah. And like all three of us were just like, nope.
Nope. Just not doing it. No. Solid no's from all of us.
Kenny, what do you think of this news?
Yeah, I buy it. It's another young director getting a chance. I'm worried more about the Shazam thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. It's like one of the oldest superheroes who's created in 1917 as an allegory for the Bolsheviks revolution, right? Is that...
I don't know if it was 1917.
Okay.
It was a little bit later, but
it's been around a while.
Shazam is,
So you have some
the wizard
room,
himself has been around way longer. But.
People don't really understand this property. It's not a big name. It's comic sweaties might know it. So hey, give a young guy or a young person a chance to make this movie. I buy it.
Yeah, it's a huge buy for me. I'm a big fan of David Sandberg and the way that he approaches filmmaking because he's very calm and relaxed. I got the chance to ask him about Lights Out when it was coming, and I'm like, dude, you don't seem like nervous about this movie, this like huge opportunity that you got in Hollywood. He's like, yeah, no, it's a good movie. It'll be fine. It's like, awesome. I like when somebody has that cool, calm, collected demeanor. And the other point to note here is that James Wan is a big fan of David Sandberg. James Wan's production company, Atomic Monster, is what helped put out Lights Out. It's what is going to be working on Annabelle 2. And James Wan also has some stake in the DCEU right now. So having somebody like that help shepherd you as a filmmaker and learning your way in big budget movies is a huge help for somebody like David Sandberg. I think has a boatload of talent, and I'd be looking forward to see what he's doing. Can he do Batman too? Can we actually get him on Batman as well? Let's have a job interview where hopefully there's no more shouting.
Now, who knows? Let's be honest here. We might see Annabelle 2, and it may be terrible, and then we'll be going, why is he doing Shazam? Right. But if he brings what he brought from Lights Out, I think the future looks good. This is a really good movie.
Does this bode well for Annabelle 2? Because the movie comes out in August, so maybe they have a rough cut that they showed DC. Like you wouldn't let this guy direct Shazam if you were hearing bad things about Annabelle 2 and what's going on with that movie.
Well, here's the thing. If they follow the pattern here, Warner Brothers announces Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is going to be Black Adam 4 years ago. Today, they announced a director, I expect in 4 more years we're going to find out who's actually playing Shazam. And we'll be right on pace. All right, what's next?
Lionsgate has debuted the final trailer for Power Rangers, in which we get a better look at the Rangers' all-powerful Zords in action. The movie follows 5 ordinary high school kids who must become something extraordinary when they learn that their small town of Angel Grove is on the verge of being obliterated by an alien threat. Chosen by destiny, our heroes quickly discover that they are the only ones who can save the planet. Directed by Project Almanac's Dean Israelite, the movie will soon hit theaters on March 24, 2017. Mark Brightstall, the final trailer for Power Rangers.
Fine, I'll buy it. Like, nothing's got me super excited about this movie, and I think less of it is about that I was never a Power Rangers guy. It's more that I got so hyped for the Fantastic Four based on the trailers, because every trailer got me so excited. And these are good trailers. I think they're doing a good job of marketing this movie. I can't get excited it's going to be a good movie, but I can say that the promotional material I've seen for Power Rangers has been pretty impressive and better than I thought it was going to be. That's why I'm going to give it a buy.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that this is going to be a good movie. I still think it's probably not. But if we're going to be fair and, call it like we see it, I agree with you. The materials they've put out have looked pretty good, and I like this newest spot. So I'm going to give it a buy. Look, everything they seem to have been doing so far, from how they're managing the image of this movie, I think they've been doing it very, very well, unlike, A Cure for Wellness at this point. So will that translate into a good film? I don't know. All we can do is walk into it with an open mind, but what they're doing right now is working, so I'm going to give it a buy.
I'm going to bid $1, John. Am I doing that?
Is that a
right?
buy? Or
Is that a buy? I'm selling this. I'm selling this because, you know what? It's going to do well. There's a generation of fans out there that love this property. Our very own Cody Hall's walking around in his Power Rangers pajamas, excited to see this. But I watched this trailer, and it's not bad. Rita Repulsa looks good. You got Cranston. But it looked like the Transformers 6 Pacific Rim Chronicle crossover I didn't want. It just looks like everything else that's come out. And, again, it's probably going to make money. Critics will be mixed on it. There's going to be some cool marketing, some cereal you can eat. I'm selling it.
Then there'll be a Power Rangers 2 and it'll bomb. But you know what? I'm buying this trailer, and I've bought all of the trailers so far, and I'm not a Power Rangers fan. I was already way too old to be into the Power Rangers when they first came out. Never really got into them. But seeing this trailer kind of made me understand, at least if they're borrowing a little bit of what the Power Rangers were and then enhancing them. I don't know. Wendy could probably answer a little bit more because she's an actual real Power Rangers fan. But the trailer looks fun to me, and it's like I felt like I was like, all right, it's kind of exciting. They're going to fight a bunch of weird monsters, and they're in these kind of cool robot, like you said, Pacific Rim, but more lighthearted. They got Cranston as the big, more powerful purple Oz or whatever. It looks fun. It looks fun to me. Yeah, it's like this blue meth head. I don't know what he is. So.
All right, I got some trivia for you guys. Here we go. There have been 2 theatrical released Power Rangers movies. All right, it's going to be a little bit of an over/under. I'm going to play with you guys. Okay, we'll start with the first one that came out in 1995. Was the first one? It was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. Over or under 55 million worldwide. Over or under 55 million worldwide. How much money did Mighty Morphin Power Rangers make? Over or under 55 million?
Over.
Schnepp. Over? Ken.
I'm going to say under.
You're going to go under?
I'm going north.
Over. The answer? Over. It made $66 million
Suck it, Ken.
worldwide.
Sorry, that was uncalled for.
All right, stage 2 of the game. 2 years later, in 1997, a second wide-release Power Rangers feature film came out called Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Over or under $40 million did the sequel make? Over or under $40 million worldwide? Schnepp.
I would have to say way under.
You're going to go under?
I'm going under because I don't learn.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going south as well. Ken, I'm on your team this time.
Finally.
All right. And the answer is under. Made $9 million worldwide.
Not Turbo.
Yes. So the first one made 66. The second made $9 million. How well will this do? I don't know. This is one of those movies where literally it could be like a $108 million opening weekend, or it could be an $18 million opening week. I honestly have no guess whatsoever in the world at this point. All right, guys. Hey, listen, I want to remind you that we're doing this show live. And since we do it live, at the end of the show, we're going to save a few minutes to take some of your live Twitter questions. Just simply make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video and start sending in some questions. And Wendy will pick a few out to give to us a little bit later. Also, want to remind you a little bit later today, this man, Jon Schnepp, has his show Heroes will be dropping. Keep your eyes open for that. Yesterday, a brand new episode of Collider TV Talk dropped. And on this past Sunday, a brand new crash course with Jeremy Johns, the history and everything you need to know about The Joker was on there. And of course, new episodes of Awesome-tacular drop every Friday. And now on our Collider YouTube channel, there's a playlist of the Awesome-tacular show. They play on our playlist about 1 or 2 weeks behind. If you want to watch new episodes, you have to watch them on Go 90. But we are putting them up 1 or 2 episodes late. If you want to get caught up and see what this Awesome-tacular show is, look on our main page and you'll find a playlist for that as well. And I also want to remind you that, of course, we are getting ready to wrap up the wild card round for our upcoming March Movie Madness tournament. Of course, this year, our tournament is on the greatest movie villains of all time. We've already had now 3 wild card matches. Dark Helmet beat Juno Skinner, so Dark Helmet advances into the tournament. We had Regina George in an upset beat out Simon Gruber from Die Hard 3. And our latest one was the Cobra Kai sensei, John Kreese, versus, from Gremlins, Stripe. And you guys voted in Stripe. 55% to 45%. You guys voted for Stripe. So Stripe makes his way into the tournament. And now it is the final wild card match that you guys will determine which of these next 2 villains will make it into the tournament. And your choices are Pharaoh Ramses from one of the great all-time villains from the 10 Commandments versus the Klingons from the various Star Trek movies.
So one Pharaoh versus all of the Klingons. I don't know if
Versus
that's
all
that
of
fair.
the Klingons. So you guys now, you can go to our Twitter accounts. Just follow us on Twitter at Collider Video, and right at the top will be a poll that needs you guys to vote. Do you want to see Pharaoh Ramses get into the villain tournament, or do you want to see the Klingons get into the villain tournament? We'll make our announcement who wins later this week, and then stay tuned. We will let you know when we are announcing the full 64 villain lineup for the tournament, the 4 different brackets, the 4 number 1 seeds. Stay tuned. That's coming really soon.
John, can I just add? I'm
absolutely.
automatically voting for the Pharaoh just because it seems like it's the outside win. I think the Pharaoh might just sweep. Come on, guys. Vote for the Pharaoh.
It's a great
It's
villain.
Yul Brynner. Yeah.
Who are you voting for?
And that one, I got to go Yul Brynner as well for that one, yeah.
I'm also going to be voting for Pharaoh myself.
I mean, look, the Klingons just saw things differently than the good guys on Star Trek did. Ramses was responsible. Like, it's his fault that we had plagues. Like, it rained frog, and the river turned blood, and firstborns were killed because of that douche.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to our mailbag segment. Ashley, what do we got in the mailbag?
Jody writes, "Hello, Collider team. For this year's Best Original Screenplay, I'm crossing my fingers for Hell or High Water. I love the dialogue of the film. It never lets up and is able to vary seamlessly between social relevance and West Texas idiosyncrasy. But I hear a lot of critics who love Manchester by the Sea. It's a great film, but I feel like Casey Affleck's performance in certain spots has to really carry what otherwise would be understated or even non-existent dialogue. Am I going too far in equating dialogue with screenplay? What aspects of a movie can and should be credited to the success of its screenplay?"
No, dialogue is definitely the big thing. It's the paint on the car. It's the first thing you notice. When you think screenplay, you think dialogue, but screenplay goes way beyond the dialogue. It is the movie. The screenplay is the movie. It sets up the story, the characters, the backgrounds, the scenarios, the lines, the dialogue, all that kind of stuff are taken into it at the same time. And for all those reasons, I kind of agree with you. I mean, Hell or High Water, the screenplay, the script, not just the dialogue itself, but the story structure itself and the way the scenes are used and all that kind of crap. It's just brilliant. And I agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of Manchester by the Sea. I'm a huge fan of not just Affleck in it, but all the performances in that movie are top notch, and that's what made the movie enjoyable to me. But I agree with you. How would you define the screenplay and the role of the screenplay?
Well, I like that you brought up Hell or High Water, which is a great example of an incredible screenplay where every single character is nuanced. There's subtlety. There's like underplay. There's mix. There's like, I'm saying this, but what I'm really saying is this, and it's so well delivered by all of the actors. Because when you have amazing actors and an amazing screenplay with that kind of dialogue, and everyone's on point, it just elevates it. That's why it was such an enjoyable film. Some other films, the actors bring, and you get really good actors, they elevate the screenplay where maybe there isn't a lot of great dialogue, but they make it great because they become those characters. And once you can actually feel for that character, you could almost say it doesn't almost matter what they're saying as long as that character and that actor inhabits the character. I mean, scripts like Tarantino, you're hearing a Tarantino script. It doesn't matter if it's a Western or if it's, a mob, gangster like a Reservoir Dogs. You know what you're listening to, this like syncopation and the way people talk. It's all coming from one mind, even though all the characters feel different. Every time you see a Tarantino film, you kind of know, you hear it. So there's certain writers who are writers and directors, or just writers who have a style and a rhythm, and there's a lot of others that just kind of just are, and then the actors bring it. So that's why I think Hell or High Water is a great example. It's an incredibly well dialogued script.
All right, what's next?
Jermaine writes, "Hi Collider team, my name's Jermaine from AZ, huge fan from the start. My question is, I've heard rumors that Marvel is developing Namor. From what I understand, thanks to your crash course, Namor is complicated but very Hulk-like, meaning Marvel may use him in a Team Avengers-like movie, but Universal owns the actual distribution rights if a solo film was made. Can you clarify for me? Have things changed to your knowledge? Thanks, and filthy this question up."
Can we clarify it? No, we can't clarify much because there's a lot we don't know at this point. We do know where Namor has been, which is tied up in a rights conundrum, like who owns what part of the rights, all that kind of stuff. Now, that's not to say something hasn't changed. It's not to say in the recent months that Marvel hasn't reacquired them, Universal's given up on. I don't know. I just simply don't know the answer. But there are a lot of these little things trickling out. And Schnepp, you actually had an interesting theory.
I just thought it's like a lot of times pilots are made and they'll be announced. You'll hear about, oh, we're making a Runaways pilot and here's our cast. But that's like 10% of the time. Most of the time, 90% of the other time, none of us or you will ever hear about a pilot being made because they're just making it. They're testing it out. Then they're going to run it through audience tests and did it work? Did it not work? So I was just saying, like, they probably are shooting a Man from Atlantis type Namor the Submariner, pilot. We weren't supposed to know about it, and somebody leaked it. They're all the way out in Hawaii, and they're like, check this out. Now everybody's freaking out. I'm sure they're shooting it. I'm sure they're making a pilot, but they just weren't ready to announce it.
And you guys have anything to add?
Watch Crash Course again.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I said we saved some time for your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. Once again, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video. Wendy, what have you picked out?
The first one comes from Peachy123, who writes, "Thoughts on Emma Watson singing in the latest TV clip, Beauty and the Beast, of her singing the song Belle?"
I love everything I'm seeing more and more from this movie. And I am now on board with Mark Ellis's prediction of a $200 million opening weekend. I'm joining the bandwagon.
We got plenty of carrots and...
I thought it was impossible. I thought there's no way, but the closer we're getting... I was in Vegas this past weekend.
We know you were in Vegas, John.
You're the one who brought it up. Sitting at a poker table with a bunch of strangers. Men. All of them were men. There might have been one woman at the table. Men, and somebody found out what we did for a living is, what's coming out, blah, 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 Beauty and the Beast. And as soon as we said Beauty and the Beast, that table of young, old, middle-aged, whatever, man, like lit up like a freaking Christmas tree. Like everybody was excited about seeing it. One or two of them mentioning, I can't wait to take my kids, but a number of them were just remembering how much they loved it themselves and they were excited about seeing it. And it kind of gave me a different perspective. And I'm like, maybe Ellis isn't the idiot savant we thought he was. Maybe he's just a genius and he knows what's the score.
I just love seeing that movie with a bunch of 9 Sam Elliots sitting around the poker table and they all start singing, "Tale as old as time."
I don't know. What do you guys...
I mean, let it be known that John Campea's movie research comes from the penny slots at Circus Circus, all right? Because let's be honest. And we all know how people found out what you're doing. Jeremy Johns kept looking around going, "You guys want to talk movies with us?" Okay, love you guys. I'm just jealous I didn't get to go. Beauty and the Beast is going to be huge. And Emma Watson's a talent, and they're doing this right. There's a lot of minds behind this, proving that you can make a movie, John, with corporate heads getting together and figuring out how to do it right. So I don't know what's going on with Batman. Maybe he should sing. But this is going to be big. $200 million, I'm still voting against because you do have that little Logan movie coming out that weekend, right?
No, Logan's March 3rd.
March 3rd.
Beauty and the Beast is March 17th. Buy your tickets now.
What an incredible couple of weeks ago. Because if you didn't see us talk about Logan, by the way, folks,
Yeah, and
Go see Logan.
I didn't get to see Logan either, but
You
also
haven't, no?
March 10th, in between those two movies, got a little film called Kong Skull Island coming out. It's going to be a good March.
I
Wow.
forgot
Good
that's
run.
the 10th. It's like
Yeah.
bang,
Yeah.
bang, bang. Anyway,
Yeah.
what did you think about this little Beauty and the Beast spot? I thought it was great.
She's super talented. I can't wait to see the film. I don't think it's going to make 200 million. I think it's going to make 198 million. No, I just think it's going to make a hair under. Like I'm going to say 190.
The Oracle has Ramses to me.
No. I want to be wrong. I want Ellis to take this crown. So
All right, what's next?
All right, Tyler Pesher writes, do you think being sandwiched between two Marvel movies might hamper Wonder Woman's post-release buzz?
I thought they were going to ask about you watching Lights Out with us. No, I don't. If anything, look, I believe this completely. If that first DC movie that the first Marvel movie that drops, if it's great and gets the audience excited and made them have a great time at the theater at a comic book movie, and then another comic book movie is coming out not too long after that, I think it increases the chances they'll come back out again to the theater and watch it. I actually think this can be very, very good for Wonder Woman. And then if Wonder Woman can be 75% as good as that trailer was, I mean, the whole tone and culture around the DC films can change very dramatically. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about Spider-Man, which is a beloved character, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is a nice team of heroes, none of them feature one woman kicking a bunch of ass, which is something we have not seen a lot of on the big screen, particularly in the superhero world. Wonder Woman is going to get its fair share of press and beyond. Hopefully it's a great film. I think it's going to crush either way.
Yeah, I agree, and we're a bunch of sweaties that DC Marvel, we fight and we pundit about that. But there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, cool, another superhero movie."
Yeah.
I liked that one last week. You're so right, John, and I think you're right too. This is going to appeal to a lot of people. It's Wonder Woman. Who doesn't know who Wonder Woman is? This should work. I agree. If that's 75% of what we've seen so far, it's going to do well. I'm not worried.
Schnepp.
yeah, and it just had a test screening like a couple days
Those
ago.
are the reports. I don't know if that's true or not.
It
There
is
are
definitely
some-
true. I saw photos. I mean, it's
Really?
like, yeah, they had a test screening, and Zack Snyder was there, the director was there, Jenkins was there. So they did a test screening, and it was overwhelmingly positive.
Now, remember the reports of the test screening of Batman versus
No, but this
Superman?
wasn't the executives all clapping like, "Thank God our jobs are." No.
Ken knows a
Your jobs
guy
are-
that drove by Doghouse at that exact
Was it?
moment, and he heard noise coming out of one of the screening rooms.
Well, it wasn't Wonder Kids. This was Wonder Woman.
But I think we'll all agree that what will push this over the top is if they can get Halle Berry to come on as Catwoman
Oh, yeah.
in the Wonder Woman movie.
Oh,
gold. You're
no,
printing your
no.
own money at that point.
Well, I don't think it's going to hurt to have Guardians open up, and then it'll wet the whistle. I think everyone's going to. The Guardians looks like it's going to be so much fun. People are going to be like, "All right, I can't wait to have fun again."
Spider-Man comes first, right?
Nope, July. Spider-Man comes out
So
in July.
Guardians comes
Yeah.
first. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Guardians is probably going to be great. Get people excited to go to see Wonder Woman. Hopefully that's great because Marvel is hoping that Wonder Woman is great
Totally.
because it'll make everybody want to go to the theater again and watch this little Spider-Man movie. Okay, let's take two more really quick.
All right, this one comes from Itamar Avidan, who writes, why fans want pictures/trailers/videos from movies all the time? Shouldn't you just want to watch the movie and not clips?
Nope. I'll never tell a fan what they should or should not love. Never. And if you love getting your appetite, teased a little bit more with little pictures and little trailers, and all of us have different opinions. Like some of us don't like to see all that stuff. And I think there is a line like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. They got to the point where I think somebody did a clock on it where they released in all the spots, TV spots, they accumulated about 38 minutes worth of footage that they had released of the movie. There is going too far for anybody's taste. But I think, look, if you're somebody who's looking forward to the Power Rangers movie, I ain't one of them, but if you are, then of course you want to see, get those little teasers. You want to see the pictures. You want to see little clips and stuff like that. I totally get it, and I don't think anybody should be looked down upon for having that feeling. I don't know, Schnepp, what do you think?
Well, I've been on record saying sometimes, they show way too much in trailers, and I'm against it. Like sometimes I won't watch the third trailer or the second trailer if it's a movie I cannot wait to see.
If you're already sold.
Yeah, because look, if I saw that first trailer or even the teaser, I'm like, I cannot believe what I saw. I want to wait and enjoy the entire film. Sometimes I will watch it, but like as a case in point, the movie Logan, all the trailers, you haven't seen nothing. That's what's so great. Like you feel like, oh, I've seen these 3 trailers and I've seen clips and I cannot wait to see this movie. Then when you see the movie, you're going to be blown away, and they didn't ruin any of the surprises that are in that movie. They they did those trailers are the art of making a trailer, in my opinion. That's the way you make a trailer. Like you made that one trailer with a Johnny Cash song where you're like, oh my God, it's incredibly impactful. Then the follow-up trailer had moments of that, but just with a different vibe. They didn't ruin anything. And the final trailer, they just decided to showcase a couple of other elements. Once again, not ruining anything, but letting you know this is going to be a movie that's impactful, heartbreaking, violent. Everything that's in that movie, they didn't telegraph what you're going to see, but your expectations were there, and then it meets and it goes above your expectations. So that's how I like seeing trailers. Perfect trailer.
Kenny.
I agree with you, John. You know, I don't want to tell anyone what they want to do. I know people that went into Force Awakens not seeing anything leading up to it, and they enjoyed it. I know people who watched and read everything about Force Awakens, and they enjoyed it. I think some of the problems is when we over-speculate. No, I'm talking to us just as fans. When you build up your own expectations and what a theory is. So, for instance, Rey's hair, it's down. Big deal. But that forms something in she's related to Qui-Gon. Then you go in the movie with that expectation and you don't release yourself from that and you over-speculate to the point where you think you know what's in the movie and then it doesn't happen and then suddenly you're disappointed with the movie. Just let these filmmakers and storytellers do their thing. That's where I only caution and worry there. Sometimes we can all wrap ourselves up. You know, he's Woody Harrelson's smiling. His character must be happy. Just let things happen. I get excited by seeing the little clips and all that kind of stuff and have fun at your own pace.
Hype is allowed, over speculation is not allowed. In my utopian society where cars run on happy thoughts, you can pay for your dinner with a joke, and there's no movie stills, and there's no behind-the-scenes videos until the movie actually comes out. I want one teaser trailer, I want one full trailer, and then I go see the movie. The end.
All right, last question of the day.
Okay, last one comes from Kyle Miller, who writes, the 1-year anniversary of Collider's incarnation of the Schmodown is next month. What matches are you most proud of?
Wow, I mean, we just had a great barn burner of a championship match between Dan Murrell and John Roca. I mean, it was a great match. The Star Wars match, I mean, obviously I was involved in that one, so
I like the JTE winning one that just happened because, you know, the guy who was like, you know, who says names wrong all the time, seems kind of like a dullard. He is pretty smart, you know.
A dullard.
Yeah, you know, I remember like doing a movie fights with him, and he kept saying the wrong stuff for Indiana Jones, and telling him I want to reach across the table and smack him. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Short runned or what? He kept saying. It was like, come on, dude. But he's actually pretty smart, and he's got a skill set. So I was very happy to see that. You know.
I believe in JTE.
Yeah, for real.
But there have been a couple. There was a tag team title match recently that was just great. Bibiani making his first appearance was fabulous.
Hector
Your
Navarro
run that you had on the show was fantastic.
Oh, that run's not over. There's a little carrot growing right there. Look at that little guy growing.
What about you kids? Favorite moments from
John? I love competing against Sam and Freddie, and whatever happened. Did we win or lose? I don't know. We still haven't determined.
Oh, I know. We won.
We won, right?
We won 40-39.
But that was great. A lot of the fun moments. I love it when Josh McCouga just guesses his way into victory. The redemption of JT is great, but JT losing to Cody Miller and Cody Miller, the U.S. Olympian, being carried off.
Right.
That was great. We've created a lot of fun moments. It's real competition and it's fun, heightened sense of entertainment. It's mixed together. It's movie trivia, sports entertainment, man, and I love it. It's been a great.
Yeah, I was also going to add Inner Geekdom with Hector, just kind of like
with a three-way match was great.
So,
a five-way match.
Yeah, it's creating a lot of like cool things, like where like unexpected things are happening. So
as far as broadcasting a match and getting to watch it happen, and also having Christian and myself having so much fun calling the game, it's hard to top what just went down with the individual championship between Murrell and Roca. That was pretty special stuff.
What is really cool, and what I love most about what we've been doing over here with the Movie Trivia Schmodown is that it's no more in any match did we get some people raising eyebrows at us like, okay, wait, are these scripted? Like, are these fixed? Because when Cody beat JTE, I can 100% assure you, we take the integrity of the game, like all the stuff that happens around it. What's it called? Well, I'm kayfabing a little bit here, but yeah, all the stuff around it, yes, scripted and planned for the most part. But the game itself, and then what happened, the results of the game, I mean, we are actually incredibly paranoid around here. It's like, like Christian accidentally left a sheet of paper out that had some questions on it, and like I gave him the business. Or when Christian found out that like I left my laptop open one time when I was a judge one time, I left my laptop open. Like, we're really paranoid around here because we let the games play themselves. I remember I had this discussion with somebody who said, I think you guys script these and it's all fixed, and I'm like, okay, you know a little bit about me. I would be 17-0 if we were doing these scripted and we were going to fix these, okay? And that ain't happening.
We're going to have the meeting where we decide whether Mark beats Campea or whether Campea beats Ellis, and I think I might lose that meeting.
It doesn't happen, and you know, I'm very proud of the work. You have no idea. When we do one of these shows, it's the whole office. I mean, Dennis is running point over here. We got Thad doing crap over here. Wendy's running around getting things. You're busy doing things. I mean, we all work very, very hard on this, and really a lot of the credit goes to Christian Harloff, because Christian is the one who came to me with the idea first. He's been the biggest champion of this thing. He works very hard on making these things go and work, and Christian is one of the big reasons why the league is so successful as it is and why it's going to continue to be successful moving forward. But it is absolutely, we have a blast. Like, even people who aren't working on the show, when we record movie trivia in here, everybody in the office just comes in, and we just come in and watch and have fun. And I believe in JTE.
And the free pizza doesn't hurt either.
Yes, we order in the pizza a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think I speak for everybody when I say about the Schmodown.
Why are you holding my hand?
Because I miss you. Go to Vegas without me. We need to work on us.
And you know what? Besides the match itself, I gotta say this. Besides the match itself, watching Mark Ellis call a match. Jeremy and I were just in a car for 5 hours, and for about an hour we talked about some of our favorite lines from Mark Ellis just calling the match. It's one of the most entertaining things you're ever going to see.
Puts a lot of pressure on me to be good from here on out.
That's what she said. All right, so that'll do it for us, guys. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank the people sitting around the table with me. First of all, sitting over there, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Where can people find you
you
online?
can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp. Watch my show Heroes. It's coming up later today. It'll be on 3:30, 4:30, sometime like that. We're going to get really sweaty about a bunch of stuff. Some of which we talked about, some of which we have not. And also, I want to give another shout out to Awesome Tacular. It's on the Collider video now on the channel. You should watch it. Everybody here has been doing a lot of great sketches. Ken is one of the head writers on the sketches. He does an incredible series with Jeremy Johns. What is that one where you go back in time? What's it called?
It's called Movie Fans.
With a Z. Movie Fans. Watch that. You're missing out if you're not checking it out. It's a lot of really fun, and it's also scripted.
Ken Napzok.
Well, the Movie Fans isn't, because I make it all up in my head. 4 years of ground leads training, finally paying off. Thanks, John, for letting that happen 15 years after they kicked me out. You can follow me at Ken Napzok for all my adventures, and I'll be at the local 7-Eleven waiting for y'all.
Mr. Mark Ellis.
Kenny is going to be at the local world-famous Comedy Store this Saturday. He's not performing, but I am. And you guys can get tickets right now. Go to my Twitter page or my website, markellislive.com. Special show, use the promo code SCHMOES, and you get a cool discount. Plus, the Schmoes Know Live show this Wednesday, 7 p.m. PST.
Ellis, what day are you going to do the comedy?
Saturday.
So I think a lot of us are going to be there. So if you want to hang out with, we're going to force Campea to go, right?
I might be having my birthday dinner that night, but because
Sorry.
my birthday's on the Oscars.
It's his
Campea's
birthday.
been to the store multiple times.
Right.
It's been a minute since I've seen old Jon Schnepp working around those parts.
I'm going to be there on Saturday to support the baby carrots.
Ashley Mova, where can we find you?
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Ashley Mova. Happy Tuesday, guys.
Wendy Lee.
On YouTube at the Movie Couple channel, and on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
You can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter simply at Jon Campea. And I know we're running over time, but you know what? I'm going to strike up my old prerogative here and just take another couple seconds. You know, we talked about just a minute for about how great, because we're coming off of vacation yesterday, how great Mark Ellis is.
Thank you, John. Thank you. It's been a privilege to work with you as well. Am I getting fired?
I'll put out a press release later. We've talked a little bit about how the great work that Christian does around here, but honestly, it just reminded me, talking about the movie Trivia Schmodown, that I get to see what you guys don't get to see a lot, which is the unbelievable work, effort, talent, and passion that the people who work here at Collider Video put into it every day. You guys don't get to see the best of Kenny Napzok. And when he's in that writer's room creating a lot of the stuff that we do and use and makes us laugh so hard, he's just been one of the most amazing guys. I was trying to hire this guy for a year to get him on board, and the fact that he's here now is amazing. What do you say about Jon Schnepp? He's the king of the sweaties. Like, he has been my partner on this for, we're getting close to 4 years. that we've been doing this shit together.
2012. That's almost 5 years.
Yeah, we are getting out there how long we've been working together and how what he brings to movie talk, to heroes, and to everything that he's on. A little bit later, he and I were about to go do the Doctor Strange commentary. So we get to do that together. Ashley Mova has been a mainstay around here, and what she does, the character and the personality, the character and personality that she brings to our shows, setting the pace and the tempo and the tone of the shows right off the bat. It's amazing to have her here and to see what she does and how she's evolved as the host. Wendy Lee started here as my assistant. And now she is like our production coordinator here. She's on camera talent. She works so hard trying to keep this whole place running, along with my new assistant, Grace. The job that she does is just amazing. And then all the guys in the room, with Adam back there running Switcher today, Cody, our living Mr. Spider-Man, Riley was in here, so whether it's Josh McCouga and like all the other people in here. And then what can you say about Dennis Zen? The guy who keeps the ship floating, who makes all the production here work and happen. We can come up with all the greatest ideas in the world. If Dennis doesn't figure out how we can actually do it and make it real, it never happens. I just want to say, as we're moving in, we're heading into March now. We're just coming off a long weekend. The people who work here do amazing stuff because they love doing stuff for you. And thank you guys for making this all possible by being here and being viewers of ours. So, long-winded, I know. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that out there. I'm feeling good after a good weekend because I was in Vegas. All right, so that'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.